This is the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, Session 1. Welcome to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, where positivity and spirituality create an enhanced life's journey with the wisdom of Ifa and Orisha. I am your host, Iya Omileti Olubumi. Welcome to the first episode of the Orisha Wisdom Podcast. I am super excited to be here. Really, I am. You should see me. I am super smiling right now. Because this is the first episode, I will introduce myself, say a little bit about me so that you can get to know me, introduce this podcast and what it's going to be about, and talk about a fun topic that has come up year after year, which is priests are people too. So let's get started. I have been in these traditions for a total of 26 years. 26! I had to take out the calculator to make sure that the number was correct. 21 of those years, I was either an alejo, which is a very, very new person in our traditions, or an aborisha, which is a person who follows this faith, a believer, a practitioner without initiation. That took a little bit. But 5 years ago marked my first year as a priestess of Yemonja, Yemaya, and I am super excited to be growing in my journey spiritually. And I'm excited to share this podcast with you. So the goals of the Orisha Wisdom Podcast is to inspire, to fill with positivity, because finding these paths can be a little hard when you're the only one who's talking about Orishas and everybody else is talking about another religion. It can be a little difficult. So I want to be able to bring positivity and also education, as well as empowerment. Because if you have more knowledge, you can maneuver, and if you know better, you do better. When you come into these traditions, it might be from somebody who invited you to a reading so that it can improve your life. It could be that you attended a drumming. It could be that you know someone who introduced you and something piqued your interest. And then you find out that this person is a priest of Oshun, Chango, Elegua, and the list continues. And you're like, what is that? Until it opens up your mind that, whoa, you mean they're initiated? Wow. And when you first start, there's very few people that I have met that tell me about the beginning of their journey that they were not starstruck. I was very starstruck. I remember when I went to an event, someone told me, oh, this person has 20 years in Ocha. And I really couldn't help myself. I said, ooh, literally little stars were in my eyes, because to me, they were like gods on earth walking a holy path with the Dalai Lama and Buddha and all of them. And they were just angelic beings because they were priests. And as time goes on, I realize priests are people too. It's almost a letdown, but it's very funny at the same time. I'll tell you a story. I'm married to a priest, and I love hearing when he tells the story. He said he was at a supermarket and somebody walked up to him really puzzled and said, Baba, what are you doing here? He's like, what do you mean? Why are you here shopping? And he said, well, I have to eat. So if I do not buy food, I cannot eat. He's like, but Baba, you're Baba. You're not supposed to do that. And it was such a funny interaction. He said, you know what? I have to eat. And if I do not buy the food, I cannot eat it. And guess what? If I eat the food, I also need to use the restroom. And his eyes were like, oh, like you use the bathroom? He didn't say that, but the expression was there. And the next one was, I have children. I had to have sex before having those children. His eyes at this point were going to pop out of his face. It was very, very comical. But I'm bringing you this funny story, not only to make you laugh, which I'm hoping you at least chuckled a little bit, but to let you know that priests, they started out in the same shoes that a brand new person did. They didn't know anything, or they were born into it, but at some point they still had to go through certain steps to become a priest or a priestess. So just for the sake of this podcast, I'm just going to say priest. In order to become a priest, they still had to go through certain steps. But at the end of the day, they're not gods walking on earth. They're priests. They are representatives of the Orisha that they serve. That is very important because some people really get confused that because they are an Orisha priest, that they can do all kinds of things or they could get away with murder. And that is not so. A priest still has to adhere to the moral values because you're representing your Orisha. You are an example to the community. But they're people. They have quirks. They have either a sense of humor or they don't have a sense of humor. They're very, very intense, or they're very lighthearted because there's still a human being underneath there that we still have to understand that they're human. I say this because sometimes if something is done by a priest, it's taken so literally. It's taken so to heart. And sometimes in a positive way or in a negative way. But they're people. We have to understand that they also have feelings. They are going through their own challenges. They may just have had a fight with their wife or their husband. They may have, their dog may have just done an accident in the house right before an event, and that's why they have a sour face. They're people. They go through challenges. They either have jobs or they have their businesses, but they still have challenges. They still need to pay their rents and their mortgages. They're just like you and I. They bleed. They cry or not cry. They get sad. They get mad. They get happy. They have their relationships with their parents, their godparents, their children, their godchildren. They are also a sister or brother. They play same roles that every one of us plays. It's just that they have taken that oath to become a priest or a priestess. I feel that this is good to understand, especially for the newcomers on the traditions, because you may come across challenges when dealing with different priests. And if you keep in mind, priests are people too, then maybe we can be a little empathetic, a little bit understanding, and not so judgmental maybe, not so hard on these individuals who are also trying to work on living the best version of themselves. At least we're hoping. That's the goal. But you may find that some people are unfortunately still in their growth and finding challenges in achieving their growth. And we still should understand that they are people too. We should understand that they may also be going through their spiritual challenges as well as the material challenges. And I don't mean material by money, but it could be physical, that materials, things that you can touch. So physical, it could be their health. There could be many, many things. they are just a human being. And we need to keep that in mind. I want to stress that when you meet these priests who have 10 years in Ocha, 25 years in Ocha, 45 years in Ocha, you may want to be starstruck on that. Don't. They're just people. It's just that they've been through this process longer than you. I wish somebody would have told me that early on because I was really starstruck. And I just believed that everything that was said to me was just so holy. I really just kind of even heard little angels singing when they would speak and butterflies flying and unicorns. I was just really starstruck. Once this starstruck, and maybe as the podcast continues, I'll definitely hope to share my experiences and other people's experiences. It's really grounding. It's wow. They're just like me. They really are. They go through these issues. You're able to kind of understand each other on a human level that just wasn't there before. Now they're not so high on a pedestal. They're not gods and goddesses, but they're, a lady who went through this process many years ago. And I want to learn what this lady knows because this lady has been through it. And now it's not that I'm starstruck, but I respect, which will be a key element in the future for the new people of choosing your godparent. And for priests, this is probably something that they went through. Once they realize, oh, this person can teach me. Now it's not a high up pedestal thinking. It's more like this is another individual who can guide me on my path. Priests are people too. They're just like you and me. This brings the end of the first episode of the Orisha Wisdom Podcast. For the show notes, go to orishawisdom.com/podcast and you will get the show notes and any resources there. Definitely while you are there, subscribe to our mailing list at orishawisdom.com. And I can't wait to see you until next time. Thank you for listening to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes at orishawisdom.com/podcast. Can't get enough of Orisha Wisdom? Check us out at orishawisdom.com and subscribe to our community. Remember, the wisdom of Ifa and Orisha is all around us. Be blessed, and until next time.